podcast. Let's podcast now. Because I gotta drink this beer.
We're literally waiting on you to start. Literally waiting on you to start.
Me?
The podcast.
Yeah.
How the fuck could you possibly be waiting on me? I'm recording.
What do you? After 200 and some episodes, you want me to be the Marcel and start the podcast? You're literally the only one that does that. Besides Marcel.
So you need me to start the podcast. You want the loudest and drunkest member of this podcast to start the podcast.
Fine.
Do you want me to start it?
Welcome, everyone.
No.
Shut your mouth. You don't get to start the podcast.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's fine. I got this. All right. I poured the beer.
Amateur.
Podcast is officially started. The beer is poured. It's in the glass. Welcome to Brainstorm Brewery. This is episode number 200. I know it's 200.
Did it.
And 80?
Yep. Good. You did it. Good job.
9?
No.
280?
It's 280.
280. Welcome to episode 280. I'm your main host, Jason Alt. You may recognize me from this podcast.
Or from Guy Fieri's Kitchen and Bar.
He doesn't...
It's still not dead. You can't.
Guy Fieri...
It's got to be dead by now.
He doesn't have health problems. His restaurants are shutting down because...
No, not him. I mean, like the whole you being Guy Fieri thing. Is that really?
That's still a thing.
That's still a thing?
That's fine.
Jeez, I thought it'd been way longer than that.
We're going to let it go. We're going to keep happening. You're hearing a lot of noise in the background of my solo podcast, and that's because I have elected to have two guests tonight. The first guest is someone that you're sort of familiar with. His name is Douglas DJ Johnson.
Yep.
Excuse me, you really must be drunk. You never introduce the guest before you introduce me. Don't do that.
Ryan, I hate to tell you, but you're a guest too.
I'm not.
You're a guest, Emeritus. You know what?
Ugh.
Fine. DJ didn't say anything. Ryan's giving me a hard time. I'm just gonna let these two nerds drive the bus. Look, man. When Corbin's not here, there's a little bit of laxity to it. They're sort of like, hey, man, we're gonna relax it a little bit. Corbin's kind of the guy that provides structure to this podcast, but the problem is that's all he provides. So when Corbin's not here, things sort of like they have a more loose and improvisational feel. But the good thing is, no Corbin. So yeah, there's no Corbin this week, as I've mentioned. So you're just going to have to be okay with the fact that our two guests are Douglas Johnson and Ryan Bushard. Bushard, say some stuff.
I was already
That's
talking.
quite enough. That's quite enough. That's enough of it. People have had quite enough of you. They got you for 200 episodes, and they're like, when is this guy going to quit? And then just show up sporadically.
And we've had Corbin for like 50 episodes total, and he's just basically a guest at this point.
That's true.
If DJ would quit messaging me being like, do you want to be on the podcast? I probably wouldn't have to be on the podcast, but blame your co-host,
Look,
man.
Ryan Bushard is on the podcast this week because he went off on a Twitter rant about Masters 25, and we're like, if you feel that strongly about the set, why don't you come on somewhere where people will see it, unlike your Twitter feed with your 1,100 followers. Why don't you come on a podcast that's actually got some reach?
I have like some 3,300 followers. But
yeah,
beyond
but how
that,
many are Russian
whoa.
bots? Like, once you subtract the Russian bots, you've got,
That's probably
you have
true.
neither quantity or quality, is what I'm saying.
That's also probably true.
Quantity has a quality all its own.
I really thought
Jason.
I was on this podcast I had no idea. I thought maybe you just fell through with Corbin this week, so you needed another person. He never messaged me and told me why I was on. He just said, do you want to be on the podcast? So blame DJ for not
Look,
filling
Busher,
me in.
do you want to be on this episode or not, man? Because,
Yeah, I'm here.
This is a company.
We're doing it
People
live.
pay us. People pay us money. People go to brainstormbrewery.com/Patreon and they give us money to be on this podcast. That's one of the many perks.
Intentional or not.
For a lower tier, you can get this handsome drinking glass, out of which I'm drinking a beer I don't need it. I've had this is beer number. I'm not going to feel it. It's too many at this point.
Your number, I'm not gonna feel
But
it.
for like $1,
That's
you can have access to our Discord server, which it's not even $1 an episode. It's $1 a month, which works out to less than $1 per episode. You can have access to our Discord server, where I will insult you personally until you're like, man, I was a Patreon. I can't do it anymore. Jason just insulted me on a personal level too many times. So that guy's gone, but you could take his place. Go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. Give us an amount of money, between $1 and $40, I think, and you can prop up this podcast.
Why would you limit them to 40?
Because there's no additional thing.
They don't need to know that.
Okay, yeah, give us 100. 100 gets you. What do you want? Send us an email. Be like, I'm going to give you $100 a month, and here's what I want, and it'll probably be a thing we'll do. Because honestly, if we will let somebody come on this podcast,
that'll work
if
out.
we let some sloppy idiot just come on this podcast for like $40 a month, imagine what we'll do for 100. So go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. And if you don't want to give us money, there's a free way to support this cast by going to youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery and liking and subscribing. We're going to do a giveaway when we get to 2,000 subs on the YouTube, which is, honestly, it's an embarrassingly low goal. The fact that we have to do a giveaway at like, something that low, that's pretty embarrassing. So go ahead and finger blast that subscribe button and tickle the balls of the bell icon so that you'll get a notification every time we set up a new thing. We got a thing. Sometimes it's a episode of the podcast. Sometimes it's like a brain bite thing. Sometimes it's just me filming a Squatty Potty promotional video that says, "Hey, buy a Squatty Potty," but not yet. So that's our pitch. So if you're paying attention and you're on YouTube, like, hey, the real podcast starts at 7 minutes and 17 seconds or whatever. Thanks for doing that. Let's get on with the episode. Normally I was going to do this in the middle, but like, I don't trust myself to remember later. And if I don't do the Patreon pitch, then what is my job on this podcast? I'm asking you two, fellas. What's my job then?
Still corporate shill. No, we know the gig, man. It's fine. I can appreciate what you do.
Okay. Thanks, man. Right.
I was going to say comedic relief.
That's all. Those are all. I can live with those designations.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been much more mean.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with us this week.
Well, Jason defended me. He defended my honor on a YouTube comment earlier, so I feel like I'd reciprocate a little bit.
Some dude said that DJ's like salty, and at least when Corbin and I banter, there's some humor. Look, we're all for you making comments on the YouTube. That's your right, but just know that I may like shit directly in you. Like, definitely, we're all about the First Amendment. It's the First Amendment for a reason. So you just go ahead and you express yourself on our YouTube platform. But know that I agree with the First Amendment rights of myself, too. And I'm going to tell you to write your little YouTube comment and write on a little piece of paper, right? And take that piece of paper and roll it up into a little tube, right? And when you got that tube, I just need you to just go ahead and stick that way up in your pee hole. Just way up, just so far that you can't actually pull it back out. Just leave it up there, and then think about what you did. That's all I need. So just go ahead and like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and put your comments on a little piece of paper. And put
that sounds
paper
painful,
up in your
Jason.
dick.
How much longer do you plan on being on YouTube?
You can't say pee hole. I'm pretty sure you can say. If
I don't know
Logan
if you
Paul can show
someone
a
to
dead person and like be okay, we'll be okay.
But
with
he didn't get away with that.
Yes,
Not
he did.
Not really.
He's back. He's
there was
back
a
on
lot
YouTube.
of blowback. Yeah, I mean that's because
he's got more
everyone's
subscriptions than
trash
ever. So hey, maybe we need to court a little controversy. YouTuber Jason Alt tells 12-year-old kid to put something in his dick, and then he does it. He's like, "Mommy, my dick hurts," and then and then they try to sue me. I'd be like, "Nah, joke's on you. I don't have any money." And then boom, we got a bunch more subscriptions. We'll get to 2,000, and we'll do that giveaway. Do you know what we're doing for the giveaway at 2,000 YouTube subs, DJ?
Yeah, I
Don't
can't
say
tell
it.
if
Just say that you know. That would have been so funny. Because I asked if you knew, and you could have just said, "Yep, I know." See, this is why people are making YouTube comments that like your banter isn't funny. You need to work on your banter game.
That's probably true, but it still doesn't excuse people from being an asshole. So don't be an asshole.
Yeah. Or be better at it than I am, at least.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, there's a difference between being funny and then being an asshole.
Yeah, and just not adding anything. Like, if you're just generic and mean, like, who needs that? You gotta come up with something original.
Yeah, I've always said, if you can insult me, I'll be your best friend. But, like, it's gotta be good. That's just not good.
Yeah. So we got a full. I almost said we have a full docket. We don't have a docket. Corbin's not here. See, what Corbin does every week is he types out all this stuff in like a little Google document.
And by all this stuff, you mean like 18 characters?
Yeah, well, it's not even. Yeah, it's like 18. It's like 5 little things that we're gonna go through, and then he sends it to us. And then DJ and I never click on the link. We don't open it. We don't read it. And he doesn't follow that order because I don't let him. And then suddenly, when he's not here, generating a document we don't read, I feel like we're a little bit lost. So, what do you fellas want to do?
I mean, we're clearly going to be talking about 25th Masters, so it's really a matter of do we want to start there?
Before that, because that's going to be so meaty. Why don't we just do breaking bulk right off the top? I'm in charge, so that's what we're doing. Breaking bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
Yes.
All right, I'm about it. I didn't prepare for either one of these this week. I won't lie.
That's fine.
I'll find something before
That's
it gets
like
to me.
pathologically professional. I like it.
That's back to the old Ryan
That's
Bushard.
the Ryan Bushard we know and love.
But see, I'm gonna show you exactly how it's done here. So by the time you get to me,
Okay, well, I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
Okay, mine's it's a foil pick, fine. But okay, let's say that the foil is like $1 and the non-foil is still a pick at about 30 cents retail.
Okay.
This is from the set Dragons of Tarkir, and it is an artifact creature.
Dragons of Tarkir artifact creature.
There are very few.
Is it the thing that becomes a 4/4 dragon?
No, it doesn't become anything. It's an artifact creature all day.
Right, this is a 3/3, and then it becomes like a 4/4 and flies when there's another artifact in play, or another dragon in play, or a dragon in play.
Nope.
Okay.
DJ, do you think you know what this is? Do you? Okay. All of my stuff this week is themed based on something that is not only getting a $200 card reprinted way cheaper for the deck, it's also getting the commander reprinted. So this is a card for that deck. What's that?
Something for Duretti, maybe.
Not Duretti.
Oh, Alesha.
Oh, it's for your Jalira deck, right?
It goes in Animar.
For your Jalira deck.
Is that enough info?
An Animar artifact creature in
Dragons of Tarkir. It's Ancestral Statue. Okay, Ancestral Statue is a 4-drop. It's a 3/4, and when it enters the battlefield, return a non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. So once you get Animar cranked up to 4, you play the Ancestral Statue infinitely, bounce itself, and then you just start cranking up those Animar cranks. Get it all cranked up and cranking.
Cute.
Yeah. You do Shrieking Drake until you can do Ancestral Statue.
I do not pick non-foils this because this is a 3-cent card retail for the non-foil, so I did not know that this card existed.
It's 30 cents retail. It's 3 cents.
It's not you can you can buy copies of these on TCG Player for you can get 35 of them for a nickel a piece from some.
Can I tell you some sad news? Nobody buys stuff on TCG Player. I'm just kidding. I just know he works there. All right, fine. It's a 3-cent pick. Whatever.
This card
I found a bunch of the foils of this, and they're at $1, and that's dumb. This is a staple in that deck, and while there's so much Dragons of Tarkir that the non-foils are probably never going to be a pick, foils of this are just draft chaff tier, and it's actually like a real card, and it goes in a real deck, and I think a lot more people are going to be building that deck based on the fact that the commander used to be really expensive, and the best tutor in the deck used to be really expensive, and they are both in Masters 25. So I am predicting an uptick in the amount of Animar that gets built, and Ancestral Statue is a staple in that deck, and I think the foils have some upside at $1, and they definitely have some upside at, hey, this was bulk foil, pick it out. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not upset at I thought I was going to be really upset at myself for not knowing a card that was a pick, but I'm not going to hate myself.
You don't consider this a pick in non-foil, which is, fine, I get that.
No. But like I don't think
I
the
mean,
foil
it
was
could
a
be
bad
someday, but the problem is, it's like how many other decks want it, but it's just Animar.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a dragon. It's a common. If it was an uncommon, I'd be a little more on board. But like, you can literally list these on a TCG player,
I mean,
match
it
the
gets
lowest
played
listing, and it's
in
a penny.
Animar, and then like a tenth as many Rakdos decks. Endrick Sar, Karametra, Surg Dragonclaw. You know, the deck that wants this the most is Animar. It's very narrow,
Right.
but I still think I found some foils of this today in bulk foils, and it's not a bulk foil.
No, I get that. If you find this in foil bulk commons and uncommons, and your shop has like nickel or dime foils or whatever, you pull it out. It's fine.
Yeah. So, whatever. I broke bulk. I broke the
All right.
format of breaking
I'm
bulk.
gonna-
I'm armed with a pick. Can you mind if I open?
Oh, you go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So this is an uncommon from Shadows over Innistrad. It is white. It is a sorcery.
Uncommon from Shadows over Innistrad, white sorcery. Open the armory.
Yeah. Oh damn. I was really hoping you wouldn't get it right, and then I could still lead in with the armed and open thing, and then laugh at you guys for giving a huge hint. Anyway.
With all
yeah, that's it.
open.
So I mean, we see cards like Steel Shaper's Gift, and obviously that had a little more competitive behind it than this probably ever will. But this also lets you search for an aura, and I think that long term, anything that's searching for equipment is always going to be a pick anyway. And the fact that this one has the added benefit means it's probably EDH worthy, and I think that that's really going to long term make this card great. It's not really a card that I see them like targeting for reprint.
Yeah.
So
Does this compete with
and
Sigarda's
it's
Aid
already
a
5 to
little
10
bit,
cents.
No, that Sigarda's Aid doesn't tutor.
Oh,
For
that's
stuff.
right.
Yeah, Scar's Aid just makes it.
Sigarda's Aid gives
Cheaper,
them
you can
flash
play-
and
I
like
know
puts them
what
on
this
stuff.
is.
Yeah, no. So I mean, we have other effects like this that already exist, and we already have seen those. Like again, Steel Shaper's Gift is like probably the biggest one, and we already see that those cards are all picks and
Well, I
worth
feel
money.
like this gets
typically.
played outside of EDH, but it's also like every Voltron deck is white in EDH for some reason.
Right.
And this goes in all of them.
Yeah, like I feel like this even goes into some of the competitive ones like Zur possibly. So and I don't necessarily know. I don't play.
Now, you
that
wouldn't play
deck
this
or
in
anything
Zur
like
because
that,
Zur's
but-
a tutor.
Right, but I mean, sometimes you need to go get your, like, make him untargetable right away because you don't have a way to give him haste or something like that. I don't know. Like, again, I don't play Azure, but I feel like this card long-term just has a lot of potential in multiple formats, mostly casual and
There's
Commander,
a couple
so.
aura-related picks that I just keep stockpiling based on the whole, like, maybe one day they print a couple broken auras. There's two cards, I mean, like, these aren't my pick of the week, but whatever. Academy Researchers and Retether are two cards that every time I pick one, I'm just like, yep, this is going in a box for 5 years.
Yeah, Retether is just, there's some of these cards that it's just a little bit baffling that it
And,
hasn't...
like, yeah, I picked Retether, like, I started collecting in Return to Ravnica or something like
Well,
that,
it's
and I just
$3.
recently looked it up. It's a
not
$3
it's
card
not
for no
nothing.
reason. Yeah, so it's gone up just based on the whole fact that it's a planar chaos, wacky sorcery that does weird things. But it's definitely one of those cards where it's one single card away from being just randomly hyped up really hugely. So, like, just how, like, when SRAM was reprinted, a lot of the Cheerios cards just spiked immediately. The deck never did anything competitively, but I feel like Academy Researchers and Retether are two cards.
SRAM made a huge splash in EDH.
No, but I'm talking about Modern. Like, people...
yeah, because in Modern that would be like, hey, we need 4 copies of Retether.
Yeah, it's like when Ancestor or As Foretold came out, like Restore Balance spiked immediately regardless of playability. I feel like we're one 10-mana aura or an Eldrazi Conscription-esque aura away from just like seeing these two cards go up in price on hype alone.
Yeah, I can see that. I think you're talking about like swaths of cards. I think really Shadows over Innistrad too, and BFC even. The recently rotated standard really has a lot of great picks in it. Not just at rare, but you look at the casual stuff at common, uncommon. Not only are you dealing werewolves again and vampires and all the tribal stuff, but you also have cards like Manic Scribe that is not Hadron Crab. It's not quite that quality, but it's certainly going to be in any sort of like casual mill deck that can also achieve Delirium. And I just long term, like the bulk for these sets is much better than we've seen over the past.
Yeah,
couple years
it's
before
very underrated. I think a lot of people give BFC a bad rap because it didn't have piles of dollar uncommons in it or whatever. But like Thomas,
At the time.
Right.
yeah, I mean at the time people were like, "Oh, Sylvan Scrying used to be a $3 card. And it's 10 cents. I guess everything in BFC is worthless." But like
right, but like then there's a whole series of things making 1/1 tokens. Like,
no, that's what I'm
cards like
saying. I think
From Beyond are,
BFC
like,
is
a
better
home
than other
run.
people give it credit for, and it's why you can pull stuff like Drawn as Emissary. Breaker of Armies is a really good card that I pull out of bulk that I get dimes for all day. Just because casual players will like look up Ulamog, see it's $15, say no, and then look at Breaker of Armies and say sure, 25 cents.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love Breaker of Armies is probably the best card name. Just because anybody that's ever spent any time on Reddit knows that what happens when you break both your armies.
Great.
Every thread.
Let's see.
So I was gonna make a pun when Jason's pick was from Dragons of Turkir, and I was gonna make a time travel pun because my pick goes back to Nemesis block, or Nemesis set, whatever. So yeah, my pick is a black uncommon from Nemesis.
What was Nemesis? What's that set symbol?
No,
like?
It's like a halberd. It's a weapon. It's like a
the
pike, like a halberd pike kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the set with it's like Bell-based Percher and shit.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah,
What'd you call that?
God, I'm trying to remember
Percher.
what even cards are in that.
Portal?
So
It's an uncommon?
What?
You said it's an uncommon? Or
my pick is an uncommon. Bell-based Percher. What the card is
That's
this?
an uncommon from that set. It was like
I mean, that's not my pick, but...
Yeah, you picked that.
There's a handful of
is
cards.
Is it Dark Triumph? No, Massacre.
It is not
I bet
Dark
it's
Triumph.
Massacre.
It's either Massacre or Mind Slash, probably.
It is Massacre. I didn't want to pick Mind Slash because I thought that was a little too easy for Jason, so I went with Massacre.
Yeah, Mind Slash is legit, but I would have forgotten that was from that set. I used to booster draft. This was one of the first sets I ever booster drafted, and some dude was telling me you pick Bell-based Percher, and I was like, dude, that card's trash. And then he like stomped me because he got 2 of them, and he got like a bunch of other terrible black flyers, and I couldn't block any of his creatures. So I learned.
Yeah, you're forgetting the time that Magic when flying was much more relevant than it is now.
Well, now you got like
you have to have
everything's
big
got
bodies with flyers,
menace and unblockable and indestructible till end of turn, all this horse shit. Back in my day, flying was as good as it got, man. It was the best keyword ability there was for limited.
We played 2/1 flyers for 3 and we're happy about it in some formats. I certainly did.
Back in my day, we would second pick Pearl Unicorn because they took the rare.
Man,
and it was a mana
Wind. You'll see Windrakes going like second to last pick nowadays, and like Windrake was a slam dunk back when I was playing core set.
Yeah, right?
So Massacre is 4 mana sorcery. If an opponent controls a plains and you control the swamp, you get to play it for free. And it's just infest. It's all creatures get -2/-2. But if they're on white stuff and you're not, I mean, this card used to see a bit more play in Legacy than it does, but it has yet to be reprinted ever.
Maverick.
And so it's just one of those cards that's increasingly hard to find, and you can... Foils are like $15 or $20, something crazy like that. But you can get quartered for the non-foils all day, so pick them.
Hey, look at that. You segued perfectly into the Masters 25 reprints. There it is. So, Harsh Stop. There's our Breaking Bulk.
I don't know what's going on
let's
right
talk
now.
about how
Ryan
terrible this
never
set's gonna be.
drove the short
Steer the bus
when you were on the cast.
Can your
I
foot
did this
reach the
last time
pedal?
I was here.
Ooh.
I'm not DJ. I'm like a foot taller than you. You can't make that joke.
Ryan,
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if
Ryan
it, like,
is
bent in, like, a
capable of
U-shape or
driving.
whatever.
He doesn't do it because he's lazy and he's a terrible driver, but he's physically capable of reaching the pedals. Just for his own safety. When he drives his car, he tends to hit deers and wreck them.
I didn't hit the deer.
Didn't you?
No, Cody hit the deer. My employee.
Yeah, well, Cody's not here to defend himself, so I'm going to go with you hit the deer.
I didn't. I mean, that's fine. But no, I mean, I've been in an accident, but I was like 17.
Wait, it wasn't when you were born?
I've ever been in.
Whoa.
That's wow.
Jesus.
That's.
Did you not know? Did you? Oh man, does he not know?
I don't think he knows. It's fine. It's pretty funny. That was good. No, congratulations, DJ. That's like the first thing you've ever said that was like, I can accept and your sense of humor for once. Maybe you won't get shit on in the Reddit comments now.
That was some good banter.
No, you probably still will, but
I bet if he knew that you had cerebral palsy, he'd feel really bad. He's like, got him. Oh, he had an accident when he was born, DJ. You piece of shit.
Did you just leave the cast?
No, I'm here. What are you talking?
He's laughing.
He's over
too
in the
hard
corner
at
trying
your
to. He's over in the corner trying to find.
He's like, my mic still
butter
works
knife or
better than
something.
your legs.
Wow. Someone's been drinking tonight. Hint, it's not me or DJ. All right. So anyway, after that grand segue into a slam into the. Wow, yeah, that was like a car wreck.
Just
actually,
like you
that whole
slammed into that
process right
deer.
Yeah,
Nobody listening to this
deer.
cast day is gonna get that reference either.
Hey, Ryan.
I
Who
hit
wins
a-
in a fight between a deer and a jaguar?
Neither one of them actually. I think the deer got pretty messed up too, but the deer did push the engine block down on my Jaguar, which is unfortunate because you look at the thing and you're like, oh, you can fix the hood on that, it's fine. And then you open it, you're like, oh, the engine's just not where it's supposed to be. Like the deer, when he hit it, just hit the legs and it like bounced off the hood, which is really not good for an animal that's multiple 100 pounds. If you slam against the hood of a vehicle, does not go well. Well, that was like 5 years ago, though.
Speaking
Like,
of
I haven't
not
driven
going
in so
well,
long.
they printed a set called Masters 25, and they didn't consult
thought
anybody
you
who knew
liked
what they
the
were
set.
doing.
I thought you liked the set. This set.
I would like this
really
set a
made
lot
me-
better if it had Crucible of Worlds in it.
This set made me understand why we all didn't do better in the Great Design Search, because we don't understand what they're looking for.
Yeah,
Clearly.
the question
'Cause
I
they're looking for
got,
something
I
that
got
players
4
aren't looking
questions
for.
wrong. You could only get 3 wrong to move on. The 4th question I got wrong is, do you think Tree of Redemption should be reprinted anytime soon? I was like, fuck no, and they're like, sorry. You're supposed to say yes.
No,
How many Comet
really
Storms
big-
should a set with $10 booster packs have? And I was like, 0 Comet Storms? They're like, sorry, the answer was 5. You want Armageddon, Doomsday, Tree of Redemption, Achroma, Other Achroma, and Master of the Wild Hunt. I was like, oh shit, I got that one wrong.
Master of the Wild Hunt's actually a card, though.
You forgot one. You forgot one.
Oh, did I forget?
You forgot
A Comet
one.
Storm?
So
Which
another-
Comet
Frost.
Storm
You
did I
forgot-
forget?
no, Frost.
the other white card. They once again fucked white with double bulk mythics.
He said both
And not
Aromas.
both.
No, I said Achroma and Armageddon.
Oh, you said
Yeah.
Armageddon? Okay,
Yeah,
I
he
just
started
heard
out with
both
Armageddon.
Chromas.
Also, you forgot Prosh,
Oh, okay.
Jason.
Oh god,
Prosh is
Prosh.
in there,
Well,
too.
it was $1 before, so now I don't know. We
Well,
get
the-
foil Prosh. That's not too bad. I
Well,
want
Master of the Wild Hunt's an actual card. Master of the Wild Hunt's like a $10 card before the reprint, so that's
Yeah,
an
before
actual
the-
like.
Yeah, that'll be fine. No, this set is so riddled with like random value that some stuff's just not going to go down.
But I think okay, so
the big thing that you have to look for is like when you see these master sets like this, we've kind of learned the equation. The cards that are strictly worth money because the availability is so low versus the playability being so high are the cards that just tank. You know, the things that are just in one commander deck, but because of that commander deck being popular enough over the course of 10 years and this card
plus the
being,
fact
you
that
know,
the card hasn't been
15-year-old
printed
card.
since Portal.
Right, exactly. That's what's going to make that expensive. But then you see cards like Ensnaring Bridge or Chalice of the Void. Like, these are cards that, well, they're going to fall for certain. And I mean, obviously, being mythic helps. Like, if you're looking at a rare, like Eidolon of the Great Rebels, is probably a good example for rare. It's not really going to crash that hard. Like, it's still very playable in Modern and Legacy. I mean, and Mono Red isn't really getting any worse from what I've experienced. Bloodbraid Elf may even make that deck better. I haven't really played Modern since the unbanning, so I can't speak to that. I know Jace is not what everybody was hoping for, but that also hurts the set and does allocate the value elsewhere. You know, if Jace turned out to be this powerhouse, we could still see $150 Jaces. I think we're more than likely going to see $100 Jaces.
I think the fact that
$80
they
Jaces,
reprinted it
maybe even
unbanned
if
it was
they're
like,
settles.
yeah, this will be fine, and we will show you how fine it is.
Yeah, no,
When it
I mean,
tanks.
everyone freaked out. And there's a reason I said that they could do it. Like, this is exactly it. I mean, this is why I said 3 months ago Jace is okay. And Bloodbraid Elf is not strictly what's keeping Jace from being good either. And in fact, if anything, I think unbanning Bloodbraid Elf was a bigger mistake than unbanning Jace for sure. Bloodbraid is certainly
Well,
making
I think
an
they
impact.
thought they needed Bloodbraid to keep Jace in check, which is what happened back when
Yeah, back in
those cards
Standard.
were
That's
both
what.
in
That's how it
Standard,
worked
and they're
in
like,
2010.
I get that, but we also didn't have cards called Dreadbore or Hero's Downfall back then either. Like, these are cards that, if Jace is good enough, like, you just replace your Terminates with Dreadbores, and, like, it's not great, but it takes care of the Jace problem, and it's still a functional
Okay,
replacement
so
for Terminate
should we
in,
come up
like,
with some
80% of cases.
criteria to differentiate the two kinds of reprints? Because the
Well,
way I
like-
see it, there are two kinds of reprints. You got your Blood Moons, you know, and you got your Living Wishes. So, like,
Well, it's the Tarmogoyf effect, right? So when the
Okay,
first
yeah.
Modern Masters set came out, everyone freaked out because Tarmogoyf went up in price. And that was unheard of for a reprint. Everybody thought, oh, Tarmogoyf's 120, it's going to be like 80 or 70 or whatever. But like the card went up. And part of a big
why
reason for
was
that
that?
was...
Why was
Part of
that?
the big reason for that was, number one, the Modern Masters 2013 allocation was a lot lower than anybody sort of predicted it was because they were first dipping their toes into the whole reprint set thing since Chronicles.
And yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the other reason for
allocation
that
was lower, just because of like distribution. And
Yeah,
B,
they
'cause
didn't
were
want
like,
to-
"Ah."
Yeah, they were just testing the waters, they were figuring out what master sets were, all that, etc. But the other reason is there were so many players who, the second they got their hands on one Tarmogoyf, they're like, well, I can do this.
Yeah, it wasn't them getting one goyf; it was them needing 3 goyfs.
Right. The number of goyfs that went from players' booster pack into the market was less than the number that went from players' booster pack into their, like, modern decks. So, and the amount of demand that the format created was huge, or the amount of demand that the set created was so huge that Goyf actually went up in price, so the demand that the set created was higher than the supply the set created. And to a lesser extent, I mean, it's not like Ensnaring Bridge and Towers are going to go up in value, but that effect still holds true with Master sets today. So like Vile's the really best example from Iconic Masters. There were so many people who were just had their finger on the trigger, just waiting for a Vile reprint. And the second Iconic Masters came out, even though if the price just dips a little bit, there are some people that say like, okay, that 10% dip is enough for me, and they buy. And they get their playset.
Yeah.
And when enough people
like
do
you're
that...
gonna see some of the cards,
Yeah.
like Chalice, I think is gonna almost do that.
When enough people do that, Vile like started before the set at like 33, 35, whatever. It goes to like 28, 29. So there are people like, okay, I'll buy now. And then enough people do that to the point where it goes back up in price, and some people who waited too long are left thinking like, well, what the heck? The price didn't change very much. So with these super
Right, and
high
they still have to
value,
buy 'em.
high playability, like 4 of competitive staples, multiple formats like Chalice. Again, in this set, Chalice, Bridge, and Blood Moon are the 3 best examples of that. They're 4 ofs, Modern, Legacy, no matter where you go, forever. These are the cards that are going to dip just a little bit at the set release, but that they're going to go right back up because you have so many people who have had their finger on the trigger for so long.
I mean, and it helps that this set is similar to Iconic, where there's not a ton of great... Like, there's a lot of cards that are about to go to nothing.
Yep.
Or, be very close to bulk. But
So
I don't know.
the second,
the most scary
that's
part
the second
about
kind
this...
of reprint, right? That's the card that like it represented $5 of pre-printing EV and $0 of post-printing EV. So
Well,
when you
I
look
think
at the
Coalition Relic
EV
is a really good
calculation for
example
the
of,
what's that?
Coalition Relic is a really good example of a scarcity-based reprint where there was just one in a Future Sight, one in a freaking old dual deck from
An old
like
dual,
2010.
not even a good dual deck.
Yeah, Phyrexian versus
Right,
Coalition
that
dual
deck's
deck was its
garbage.
last reprint, and there was no masterpiece, there was no nothing. It's just a card that hasn't seen print in like 8 years. And so its
Right.
price point was up to like $25, $26, and just a single reprint in this set is going to crash it to like $5.
And there was
Not the correct
another
use of
thing we're
price
seeing in
point,
this set
so-
that we haven't seen before in previous Master sets, which was there are more rarity downshifts than we've ever seen before, and a rarity downshift completely tanks the card's EV because
Rest
like
in
it's in a
peace,
completely
Shadow Mage Infiltrator.
what's that?
I mean, not rest in peace like the card, but like the poor Shadow Mage Infiltrator. Finkel himself is uncommon now.
Yeah, well they could at least
Yeah, it's
kept the
fine.
No,
Finkel
I know
art.
it's fine. I get it. It's fine. It's just like
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't keep the Finkel art for like the same reasons they couldn't do a lot of the original like alpha arts and stuff.
no. I understand that.
I mean, I'm still of the hope that we're getting masterpieces in this set, because otherwise this set is terrible.
You really think that would have been able to keep that
Um,
under wraps?
I mean, they kept the rest of the set under wraps pretty well. Usually you hear a lot of whispers about different cards that are going to be in the set. And
Yeah, we kept
nothing was
Iconic
really,
Masters
like-
under the lid until the day of the whatever it was called, HasCon.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that Wizards may be... I don't know, like what they're doing, but it's definitely working to keep the information away from the crowd much quicker. Because since the whole Ixalan sheet, I think they've either cracked down or
The
figured
last
out
time
what
we
the
got
problem
a
was.
big leak, because I mean, back in that day, I mean, I say back in that day, but it was like about
A
a
year
year
ago.
ago now. But like we were getting leaks every few months where it's like, oh, this card got previewed early from Aetherval, or like this card was accidentally in like a Ixalan pack or whatever. Like we just
And that was
since
no
Ixalan-
fun. Nobody liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've done a great job of keeping this stuff under wraps, and they're letting it out at their own pace, and they're doing it over the course of a week, so you don't have time for all the issues to happen, where like someone's card gets leaked early or something like that. It's like, no, just spew everything out there at once. And I think that's great.
I thought
You have
it
1
was
week of a
messed
lot of
up that
excitement,
they
and they give you
released
time
that
to
grainy
prepare for the
YouTube
set.
video of Rancored Elf being slowly tortured in Wizards headquarters.
Wait, what?
You know that guy Rancored Elf, like that
Back
leaker.
to the story.
They kidnapped
Back to
him.
the story again.
Oh, yeah.
And they were just like pulling out his fingernails and stuff, and they're like, "This is what happens to leakers." And I was like, "Ooh, shit, that was crazy." So after that video, they kind of people were
They
not
calmed down.
Yeah, people did. It was not worth it, right? It's just like I could get a few clicks on my website, but it's not worth it if they're gonna pull my fingernails out on camera. So good for them for having the balls to like set aside the Geneva Accord and literally torture a dude on camera. I thought that I would never have the balls to do that. But like Wizards, like
well, and they really had to.
We got that Hasbro money. We were good.
They really had to keep it cracked down this time too, right? Because like if you're going to release Chronicles 2, you got to make sure nobody knows in advance, or none of the product's going to pre-sell.
Well,
I mean, really, they just moved the set symbol from the far right to the center of the card and called it a watermark now. It's just showing what Magic's come in the past 20 years since Chronicles.
I like
where
that,
to put the set symbol.
I like that they did that because that's going to look tight and foil.
The watermark's
They
fine.
even put Blood Moon in the set for us. I mean, it really is just Chronicles 2. Nicol Bolas is in there again too, right?
Name a third card that's from Chronicles and this set.
Man. There's got to be a third. Is there Ashnod's Altar in this? Nope, that's not in this set.
Stang?
Oh, you're right, Stang. Oh man, so this you did.
Oh, it's confirmed.
That's even better than I could have come up with. Stang is like, wow. That when I saw that, I was like, what? There's like, we were like, okay, what white cards can they do? There's like land grant on the reserve list. Nah, so there's like, there's this list of cards that you can't really touch, right? But there had to be something better with it. Dude, like, give me Chain Lightning again.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
Yeah, some of the stuff there was there was such a big people had their wish list. They're like, well, the Alpha card's gonna be blah blah, blah and the Arabian Nights card's gonna be that $50 mountain, and they're like they were coming up with these $9,000 EV sets in their minds, and they were disappointed.
There's a few cards that are just
the dark cards
like,
could be big.
Like
I'm fine with the EV, honestly.
Demonic Tutor and Birds of Paradise are fucking like criminal offenses.
I agree with things like that, but like the other thing is like if you're gonna put a card like Stang in and try and be like, oh, it makes a token, at least give me doubling season in the set. Like
that doesn't work with Stang, dude.
I don't care.
That's
what
really
do you mean
bad.
you don't care? That's your whole argument.
How does that not work with Stang?
Because
it makes an extra copy of the
token's
token.
legendary, so both the tokens come in, both the tokens die, and then it kills your original.
Look. Then leave Stang out of the set and give me doubling season.
Well, then they would have to build around doubling. Doubling season is one of those cards.
Great,
all right. This is actually. They're like, you got to build around doubling season. Meanwhile, they give us a Blood Moon. You don't need to build around Blood Moon. It's bullshit, man.
All right. Give me like a 1 minute rant here. So this is actually one of my main issues with the set is they keep trying to reinvent the wheel, and I really noticed when since Gavin's last article where he talked about like what they try to do with the commander sets, where it's like you want people building new decks, you want like all this new innovation coming through. That's great to an extent, but like especially with these master sets, like quit trying to reinvent the wheel, quit trying to come up with like new archetypes every time. Like green players really like making tokens. Give them doubling season, give them a bunch of cards. You haven't done it since the original Modern Masters. It's okay to repeat that again. No one's gonna have a problem. Don't do it with Thalids. Do it with something else. Like there's so many different ways that you can take that avenue, and you're going to give people those like much wanted reprints like doubling season that way, and you're going to give them a bunch of common, uncommon reprints that are actually useful and aren't Stang. Nobody cares about Stang. Nobody cares about, and I don't just mean that card, like Jalira at uncommon. Cool, we have. One of the rants I made was that you can have 3 legends in a pack and still the whole pack be bulk, and that's just garbage. This set has a lot of non-iconic cards and is missing a ton of things that just should have been absolute shoo-ins. I can't understand how they couldn't figure out the equation to this. Like they did it once, they've done it twice now with Modern Master sets, and they've just hit home runs. The original Modern Masters and the latest Modern Masters, and this last one for 25th Masters, they just dropped the ball like they did non-comic once again. Rant over.
That was only 10 seconds over. Good job. Yeah.
I'm pretending I
I
was.
mean, agree, disagree, but really though, I mean, is there a reason that you can't repeat something that people love, like tokens? Like, if you just went back and looked at Modern Masters 1, took similar things from there that the players really liked, printed a lot of the same cards again, no one's going to complain because you've already done it once in a Master set. Those cards clearly need a reprint again. If doubling season, you still can't get for less than 50 anymore.
Yeah, man, I don't know. They're never going to make everybody happy because I like a lot of the stuff in this set, and I was still like, they should listen to me. Where's Phyrexian Altar? So, like, everyone's got their pet card. I think this
Birds and Tutor should have been.
Yeah. Well, this isn't iconic.
Birds,
it's Masters 25. They're like, there's no theme.
But
if you blindfolded someone and showed them all these cards and be like, what's the theme of this set? They'd be like, the theme is, I don't know.
Triskaidekaphobia, Tree of Redemption's the theme.
Oh my god. Stop.
That's a good combo.
I'm disappointed that they decided that should be in the set.
Man, I don't know. This set...
Triskaidekaphobia.
Here's the problem I have with this set. I don't have a problem that the set has got Tree of Redemption in it. I'm more upset that they think they're looking at like the pre-reprint EV calculations being like, well, Utopia Sprawl is $4, so that's got to go into the EV calculation. But like after Utopia Sprawl gets printed at what? Common? Uncommon?
It's uncommon.
Yeah, uncommon, I think.
I don't think it's going to go back to $5, and I think you're going to have a lot
Not anytime soon.
You're going to have a lot of value that's not coming back. You print Simeon Spirit Guide in the set?
Well, yeah,
It's
those
not
ones
coming
don't
back.
drop by like a significant margin, right? It's the fact that you're valuing Imperial Recruiter at like 150.
Yeah, that too.
Like,
and it's
yeah,
like
so
it's going to
it's
go to like
uncommon.
$35
EV
and
calculations are
a year.
negligible. It's the fact that you're valuing like the $180 Mythic at like $180 instead of like $75.
Both. They've never done both before, and we thought when they did Modern Masters 2017, they were like, "Oh shit, they figured this out." Modern Masters 2017 was a great set.
Phenomenal, yeah.
But they're
great
gonna like
for
they're gonna
limited and
lose $100
reprints.
in value. That'll probably never come back on every Imperial Recruiter, but they're also going to lose $6 in value on every Illuminarch Ascension. So like they're doing the classic pincer maneuver when they put it in their butt from both angles.
Well, there's probably a dozen cards in this set that hold, maintain, or go up, and I just don't. I mean, they're pretty easy to identify too, honestly. So like, this is not going to really be full of a bunch of surprises where you're like, oh, look at this. You know, the Aether Vial didn't go down. We can identify those cards already. Dealers just aren't going to sell them for cheaper, even if TCG's a couple dollars less. Expect the next GP. You're not going to run around and get every Chalice of the Void for $20. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. You know, V-Click's in a good spot. You know, Obliterator's in a good spot. You know, and Staring Bridge is in a good spot.
Obliterator's one, I think, is actually more out of rarity. I think that's going to be the Mythic to take the biggest, well, maybe not the biggest hit, but it's certainly going to take a major hit. And I think
Does that mean Black didn't really get a good Mythic in this set then?
I mean, Obliterator's still fine. I think it's going to be equatable to kind of Consecrated Sphinx, where it's like 10 to 15.
It's like an Avacyn S card, I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good comparison.
Yeah, it's just like Consecrated Sphinx is better though, right?
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, like when you're playing Obliterator, it's not typically Commander for play for that. It's casual, so it's a 4 of.
Well, it's in
so now it's accessible at this like $10 to $15 range.
Modern too.
That's not a real deck.
Tier 5 fringe modern decks don't really impact price. Like that's like saying that like, you know, it's played in Animar. It's honestly
that was the thing that made it go up, and then what made the price stay sticky then when that was like revealed not to be a deck? Was it just price memory?
It's just casual.
It's
casual players.
This card.
Casual players, like, they never stopped buying the card. Like, it's still sold as ones and twos.
Yeah,
and
it's
fours
still it's a $30 Glimpse the Unthinkable sort of situation where that card is just like just purely casual.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm much happier to see it reprint. So, from a dealer's perspective, what people don't realize is like when a card gets above $20, the rate at which you sell it to casual players slows down infinitesimally. Like it's not just like, oh, it slows down to half or a quarter. It's like 10% or worse a lot of times, because a lot of players who are just playing in their basement, who aren't dedicating their life and a bunch of time to this game, aren't really willing to spend $80 on a playset.
You'll sell a playset of $6 Glimpse of Unthinkables every week. You'll sell a $50 Glimpse of the Unthinkable once a year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's, you know, a little overblown, but yeah, the point is it really is going to be like a 10-to-1 ratio, if not worse. So things like Obliterator, I'm very happy to see reprinted, because like we'd get 4 in stock and I'd have those same 4 in stock for a month. And then now with them being $10 to $15, I imagine I can pull 20 from the next GP and we'll be out of them in a week. And that's going to be great. So there are some cards that I love to see reprinted like that. And then commons and uncommons kind of have a different threshold. They're more at like the $10 range. So like the heuristic studies have started to slow down some for us. I was kind of hoping to see that in the set, even though I'm sitting on a ton of them. Just because, I mean, it's a card that needs to be reprinted. It shouldn't be $12 in uncommon. And it's just because Prophecy's so bad otherwise.
Yeah, like what other card can you pick from Prophecy? Oh, Plague Wind. Like, no.
Ristic Cave, yo!
I mean...
Reveille Squadron.
And that's the thing, is like I just feel like you look at some of these, like bumperistic studies are rare. We all agree that it probably should be a rare.
Well, even just it could, or uncommon in this set.
You can't do that at common. That card's really
said uncommon.
Even still,
have you ever played this in limited?
Yes, it
was not great.
I mean, granted, Prophecy Limited was like awkward because there was a lot of tapping out and stuff. But I mean, this card was. It'd still be fine.
There was a ton of tapping out there that you don't do now. That's a good point.
I mean, even if it's not great in limited, like I think the card is still a card that you don't want in limited enough for it to be at uncommon. And I think it's a fine rare. Like on power level with what you would look at now, if that card was in a set, it would be a rare.
Sure.
Like I don't think that card is. I don't even want to say too complicated, but in some ways too complicated to be uncommon, because even in limited, like you play this card and your opponent has to then remember to pay a mana every time, because it's not even always about like whether they have the mana or not.
It's whether they remember to do it.
Yeah, it's not like a mandatory thing like a Ghostly Prison where they have to. It's like
no, it's a dumb, annoying thing that people.
So now
did you pay the one? Did you pay the one? Did you pay the one? Did you pay the one?
Right, you got casual guy who shows up to play his green Stompy deck. And then, plays his green Stompy deck, and his opponent draws 4 cards in a row for no reason because he forgets to pay for it. I mean, it's just... I don't think it's a great card for limited. But I also think it's a card that is acceptable to put in a rare in a set like this.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. But, like, printing things like Prosh, like, I get it. But Prosh...
That's a card that could have been a judge foil real easily, though.
Yeah, and they missed that opportunity. Like, yeah, this is how you get a foil Prosh, but like, man, who wants a foil Brian Stoutarm?
Well, and if you're gonna give me a mythic
Brian
rare
Stoutarm
in a set like this for casual,
freaking Walmart promo, like.
Yeah. Plus, there was a set foils. There's foil Brian Stoutarms out the ass, man.
I also just feel like Prosh, like a card like this, if I'm not mistaken, isn't the card phenomenal and limited? Like,
if you can get the 3 color deck, yeah.
I mean, you're only ever going to get the 6 kobolds, but yeah, that's pretty good. You could dome somebody pretty fast with this card.
Yeah, I mean, I get why it's at Mythic Rare for that purpose, but it just does not feel super mythic. And
a lot of these cards, like, yeah, we had an FTV Nico Bolas in foil. We had an FTV Conflux in foil. Some of this stuff, we had the Niv... How many times has Niv Mizzet been printed? It just seems like some of these choices are really baffling when there's stuff that, like, we really wanted to get printed for the second time ever, and they're like, nah, you really need a 45th Niv Mizzet the Firemind.
Well, and then you do things like Nicol Bolas with the FTV art, and it's like, so now you just hurt a collector's market for zero purpose too. Like, there was no reason to reprint that. But nobody was like, man, I just can't get a hold of that Nicol Bolas, so I can't play. Like, if you want Nicol Bolas, you can buy one for a quarter out of.
Nobody wants to hear us poop on this set necessarily. I think people want to hear us tell them where they can make some money. Where are the opportunities in this set? Let's reverse this pity party, and let's turn this into a money party. So, like, what are you guys looking at A, pre-order, B, peak supply, and C, I don't have C, so just A and B.
I mean, I don't think you're going to see a huge opportunity somewhere. Again, I think that most of the vendors have figured out, you might have some, like, occasional things on TCG where it just goes too low and you get a chance to buy in at those points. But I think for the most part, your money is going to be outside of the set for this particular time around. I think you just look at the cards.
You think that some of these... So, like, all of a sudden, dude didn't have access to an Imperial Recruiter because Imperial Recruiter is $180. Now he's got a $30 Imperial Recruiter. He can put together a deck he couldn't before. What does he need?
I think it's less... I think you're trying to think of, like, too outside the box as far as, like, what cards can be worth value. Like, sure, that's a deck. Some number of people will choose to play that deck. I don't think it's going to drive Grindstone and Painter Servant up so much. I mean, they've already gone up some. Sure, yeah, Marinara is very. I think that's very reasonable, and that's kind of in that price range that I'm thinking of as well. I'm thinking more along the lines of like Liliana Last Hope. Great example. Card just got printed. It's not seeing a reprint anytime soon, more than likely. And cards like Bloodbraid are making this card much more powerful. And it's already been on the rise. It's from a set that now people are understanding is like there's a lot of value coming out of it. We haven't really seen the card dip any further since it's rotated. It's kind of held steady and like slowly been going up. And I think that you're going to see a card like that go up much more rapidly with with like the Bloodbraid unban and no reprint in this particular set. I also think that like there's chance for Bloodbraid Elf to go up, things like that. Like I think that you kind of have to look outside of the set and realize what didn't get printed for Modern. That's going to be the stuff that's really going to be your most consistent and biggest gainers.
I can see that.
And I also think things like Tron lands, Chalice got reprinted. Granted, it's not always in Tron, but not seeing things like Tron lands in this, there's a lot more people jumping on this like blue Tron deck lately and stuff like that. Like, I think those are kind of poised to just eventually be worth more money. And yeah, granted, because of Chronicles, there are a ton of copies out there.
What about the port
time,
reprint?
those are still
Does that
being
open
absorbed.
up anything?
Not really, because you have
so.
lands that already played it, but lands isn't really getting any cheaper. Otherwise, like, you're still looking at the barrier of Tabernacle.
Well, that was
mean,
like the
that was
only
like the
expensive card
Port-
in like those Death and Taxes decks.
Yeah, Port was the
Everything else
gatekeeper
pretty
to Death and Taxes, but there's nothing else in Death and Taxes that you want to like immediately pick up. Like, the people who were waiting to build Death and Taxes had their entire list of Death and Taxes and just needed ports. It's not like people.
That's true. No, there are opportunity on the lower end for cards like that, especially things that just got reprinted, like Mother of Runes. I mean, that card is next to bulk, and I think that that's a fine pickup to go up over time. But I also wouldn't expect that to immediately be $10 tomorrow.
Right.
The problem is, anytime there's a really good reprint, people are like, "Oh, you nailed it! That was a great reprint." They're like, "Oh, you said that was a good reprint? Good." Black markets in every EDH set from now on for time immemorial. So sometimes they get a little overzealous and they're like, "Oh, we did good. Oh, here you go," and then they just ejaculate reprints at us.
Right. I mean, there's definitely a chance for cards like Karn to go up because it,
Karn went
up.
up. It's crazy.
Yeah, Karn already went up.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so and I haven't even kept up with everything this week that's been going up until price for the show next week. I will probably be behind on some prices. But yeah, there's plenty of opportunity within Modern, and I think that's where you want to be looking. That's where the most money is being poured into this game consistently. I mean, Standard definitely has, a more of a one-time pourer, and then you have to keep, changing decks over and over and over again. But Modern is really what everyone's kind of striving for right now. It seems like, most people who don't have a Modern deck are in the process of building one. Most people who do have a Modern deck are trying to build a second one. I think it's still a solid format.
Well, Modern,
I don't think either
it seems like a good format to care about. It's just sort of, it's perfect, right? If you hold on to your Standard stuff for a couple years, you're not going to be completely screwed trying to get into
you
Modern.
get to keep your Gideon
You're not
allies into cars, your
disenfranchised
tireless
if you didn't start
trackers,
playing 20 years ago. Like, the stuff from Standards, all of a sudden, like, some of the good stuff, the really good stuff from your Fatal Push tier stuff, that ports right over. Like, I feel like you're not hit by the reserve list when you try to reprint stuff to control prices. So if you're looking at a format to kind of like, hey, this is the format we're looking at, it's an Eternal-esque format that you can still print cards for. Everybody can be enfranchised if they just hold on to their Standard stuff for a little bit, but it's still a decent, wide-open format that, was good until they started banning stuff willy-nilly. So I don't see a problem with making Modern be their shit. If that's what they want to do, I think that's a good choice.
And I mean, they may, jump ship on that at some point, but at least for now, Modern is where we're at. And I think even if they do jump ship with that,
Frontier, right? It'll be to abandon Modern to the Legacy.
And so a lot of those cards will still be very good in that particular format. It's not like Legacy or Modern will immediately die. I mean, it's not like Legacy died when Modern came around. Like, plenty of cards still are going up just because of Legacy play. It just makes things more accessible for the newer players. And the beautiful thing about Modern is because there is no reserve list, like you mentioned, you hold on to your cards from Standard. Like, say you don't want to spend a dime to get into Modern. You still sell your cards out of Standard while they're still in Standard that aren't going to be Modern playable. You take any of that money, just keep investing it towards standard, but anything you know is going to be modern playable, just let it rotate, let it hold value, stick it in a binder, and after 4 years, 3 years, you're going to have not only a lot of playables in there, but you have a lot of the casual stuff that has gone up in there, or some of the stuff that just unexpectedly went up for modern play that you don't necessarily need to play with. Ship that stuff off and wait for the reprints in these master sets for the couple of cards you're missing from these decks. And, I mean, you can really, in the course of 3 years and a lot of patience, you could build a modern deck without spending a dime. I've seen a number of people doing it. Yes, you can absolutely, if you want to get into modern much quicker, you can go out and spend the money tomorrow and have a modern deck. And that's great. I'm glad the format's that accessible to people. It's not like Legacy where you still have to, minimum wait a couple weeks usually to be able to even piece it all together, or unless you're just going to spend a bunch of money on, vendors online or hope for TCG. But yeah, I think that modern is accessible enough to all of the cards to be accessible, or not accessible, sorry, all of the cards to be reasonably priced at some point over the course of like 3 to 5 years, that you can get in on everything at a price that's definitely going to be the floor. And anything competitive is just going to keep going up. Like, we're still going to see Thalia. Yeah, it might bottom out at $5 to $10, but it's going to be a $20 card again eventually. So if you hold on to those Thalias from this set for 5 years, as long as it doesn't see another reprint, I don't see why it can't be $20 again.
Yep.
Yup.
No disagreements.
No diggity.
So I mean, anything else about Masters 25? I know I spent a lot of time shitting on it.
Yeah, you
it's
did.
It's a fine set. So like, my problem.
Try to it's fine. I know I shit on
Ryan
it.
It's a lot like real life. He spends a lot of time shitting and doesn't really produce that much.
Thanks, buddy. But no, I mean, I went on that rant on Twitter, and I kind of I don't want to say I felt bad afterwards because I still felt let down. But I get it. It's a fine set. Iconic Masters was a fine set. It got a lot of shit too. But this is your 25th Masters. Like, for me, this is the set that needs to be a set apart, for lack of better words. And it wasn't. It's not going to be memorable in 5 years. Nobody's going to look back and be like, that was a great format. That was a great set. Right, exactly. And that's like, I still remember Modern Masters 1. I remember drafting that set. I rember all the value. And you look at that set now and like, you can't bust a pack and not have money.
Do you remember drafting that set because you were in Las Vegas?
No, I didn't draft that set in Vegas. Remember, I played the seal. It dropped after 2 rounds, and then I spent the entire time at the house.
And Corbin stayed there all day.
Yeah, I drafted either the week. Was that the weekend it released? No, because the weekend it released was the weekend before, right? And I think I drafted it back home like once or twice.
Yeah, maybe.
I drafted it, and then I drafted on Moto and stuff. Like it was a great set.
It was a good set.
Like, there was.
That was like the only draft format you could
I can remember
Storm
decks I built. You could play fairies.
Yeah, you could play fairies, storm, tokens, everything.
You could play stupid fungus.
Yeah.
That was great.
If you had a doubling season, first pack doubling season was the most fun thing to see, even for a competitive player. Because you're like, yeah, I'm just going to make thalids. This is going to happen. Let's do it.
Yeah. You could.
But yeah, and like I just feel like you need. Great. I just feel like in a set like this, you need that quality and caliber of remembrance down the road, and this is not going to achieve that.
Well, if you're just going to be like, it's a random hodgepodge of just reprints, which is fine, there should be some rhyme or reason to it. I think.
I'm fine with the rhyme or reason, but again, go back to the things people love. Like, do saplings again, or not saplings, but do tokens again. Put doubling season in the set.
This feels like a lot of 2-card combos versus like actual.
Yeah, you're not gonna flash Hulk people in limited.
Yeah.
Well, and Flash Hulk is like, yeah, you're not. There's no combo. It's like if you'd have put the full combo in there, and like you could have Viscera Seared and Murderous Redcap and whatever else. The Kitchen Finks, Malira, like that whole combo was in here. Then heck yeah, I'd love Flash Hulk, because then it's like, you know what, if you put all 5 of these cards together and you manage to actually draft this, congratulations, you did it. But there's not even a major payoff for getting the Flash and the Hulk together. And that's just disappointing. Like, there's no coherency to these combos they did either. Like, some of them are just way more powerful than others, and some of them, like Flash Hulk, don't even really net you that much.
For 2 rares, too. Like, come on.
Right. Yeah, it's just small stuff like that. Like, there's nothing major or glaring about the set that's wrong. There's just a lot of small things that could have done so much better, and particular cards that should have been in the set. And obviously, like, you can never reprint everything, I get it. But there's just a lot of cards. Like, another failure is like P3K. You gave us 2 cards that you've already given us before. Really? Like that's and then Imperial Recruiter.
I was really surprised that we didn't get like
this.
3 visions at Uncommon.
Yeah, do we
not
really need
visions,
borrowing
3 visits.
10,000
Yeah.
arrows again?
3 visits.
Or Kong Mong, who's already a bulk rare because there's one commander deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure that everyone was waiting for that reprint. It's like Jalira at Uncommon. Like, I'm glad you at least moved it down, but what the heck is Jalira doing in this set? Just stuff like that is I don't know. That's what really drops the ball for me. If you're willing to move around the rarities that much, there's no way you couldn't have shoehorned some of these cards that needed to be in this set in here.
All right, have we killed the horse?
Probably. Yeah, I've beaten it pretty.
Killed the
pretty
horse?
hard over
What are you,
the past
Marcel?
week. He's putting the wagon in front of the.
We beat the
front of
wagon in front of the horse.
The horse got beaten with the wagon.
All right, pick of the
Let's
week.
go into bulk and break.
Pick of the week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
All right, I gotta look a card up real quick, but yeah, you're good.
Did you not know you were coming on the podcast
Pick
tonight?
of the
No, I already said no. I just need to look up the price. I know. What
Pick of the
card I'm
week.
up to.
Pick of the week.
I'm just
I got a pick of the week. It's from the Modern
Baffled by
Event
your
deck.
unprofessionalism. What is it, DJ?
I got a card
funny.
from the Modern Event deck. So a couple weeks ago, the last time
Kentucky
Ryan
Wars
was on this.
Wage.
Nope. Last time Ryan was on this podcast, his Breaking Bolt
Oh.
caught me by surprise because he picked an emblem. And it was the emblem from Elspeth Knight Errant from Modern Masters. Interesting fact, the emblem / soldier token from the Modern Event deck is like $5 or $6 as well. So that got me looking at the Modern Event deck. And during the preview season for Masters 25, I was keeping a very close eye on the Modern Event deck as a whole. It's the 2014 deck, Black-White tokens, called March of the Multitudes. It's got a lot of good cards, 3 Path to Exiles, 2 Inquisitions, Sword of Feast and Famine, Elspeth Knight Errant, a lot of Lingering Souls, Tide Hollow Scullers, a lot of good cards. One of the cards in this set that I was
Mana
just like...
Confluence, right? It had Mana Confluence?
City of Brass.
No,
Sorry, Jason.
City of Brass. That was before Mana Confluence.
No,
I
it was
know.
right after.
No, it was right at the same time, and everyone was like, "Why not Mana Confluence?" And then we pooped on it.
So, interesting fact, no single card in the 75 of the Modern Event deck was reprinted in Masters 25, which encouraged me to go out and buy a lot of Modern Event decks. One of the cards that I am holding from those Modern Event decks to see if it goes up in price over time over the next few months is Dismember. That is a card that I sort of thought was going to be in the set if they included Phyrexian Mana. They
didn't.
decided not to, which... Again, we can have that argument for hours on end, but like Dismember is still a $3 card. It's crept up over the past few months, and I think Dismember just keeps going to $5 because it's so hard to reprint Phyrexian Mana at a mass level without doing like all these wacky other things like Infact or like Mental Misstep or like Gut Shot for mutagenic growth. They're just hard cards to balance for limited, so Dismember is in this awkward spot of where do you put it? I think you put it at $5 in a few months.
Ha. Joke's on you. It's going to be in the Jace 5 or 8 pack or whatever. Because it's actually a blue spell.
Okay, Pat Chapin. Hi, my name is Pat Chapin. My favorite blue creature is Tarmogoyf, and my favorite blue instant is Dismember.
It's true. I mean, as much as I beef with Chapin, I can agree with him
Why
on
would
that.
you ever beef with Chapin?
You're from Michigan.
That man can innovate his way out of any argument. I'm not going to even get into it. Yeah,
mean, I'm
I'm
not
from
getting into
Michigan.
it.
You know what? He's a national treasure. Team RIW. They're all... I'm proud to share a hometown.
No,
with
no.
all
I
those
mean,
guys.
Team RW is great. Like, Pam's awesome.
Yeah. No, I got nothing
I
bad
mean,
to
it's
say
just-
about anybody from Team RIW.
No, I mean, it's great. They produce, like, a lot of... You look at Team RW's lineup over the years, they produced a lot of Pro Tour top
Yeah, it's
80s
kind
and
of
stuff like that.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you have like people like Mark Jacobs. Like nobody respects Michigan for Magic competitive players, but it really, I mean, it's no New York, but it definitely had plenty of people come out of there that were very good. And I mean, not all the people who came out of there, pro toured a ton, but there was a lot of people who made it once or twice too. The state is full of very competitive players. The PTQs there were always difficult, and then you got a lot of the Ohio crowd and Indiana crowd that was also very good. Really, that whole part of the Midwest is very skilled.
Because what else do you do?
Right, yeah, exactly. And they're also willing to, weather the storm to be able to get to a PTQ. It's like, oh, there's a blizzard, there's a PTQ 4 hours away, we'll be fine.
Yeah, we've I've driven in my
I've driven
fair
through a
share
good
of
number of
ridiculous
those.
conditions going to Magic events. So yeah, they make them
Yep.
strong in the Midwest, and they make them hardy, and they make them good at Magic and not good at talking to girls, and that's a perfect storm of being good at cards.
It's true.
Where the hell even were we? Were you?
Pick of the week.
But whose pick of the week were we on? You were talking about Chapin. Why were we talking about
He's
Chapin?
done his.
I picked
it's
Dismember, and then it's...
Oh, right, because it was a blue spell. All right, wow. We are in the weeds now. Who's up next?
You can go next if you want.
Boom. Okay, I said my picks were going to be related because I think... Okay, so I saw last week that Recruiter was getting reprinted. I was like, oh, that's good in Animar. And then I wrote a bunch of articles about like, Animar. And then Animar got spoiled, and everyone's like, why you knew. But I didn't know. I was just talking about Animar because Animar is a big winner of Imperial Recruiter getting reprinted. And Animar is going to give us like a $50 card, $50 card. And all of a sudden it's in Masters 25. It's going to, tank in value a lot. Even though it's at Mythic, like I think it's got a lot of downside, being sort of a non-chase Mythic in this set. So with the biggest, most expensive card in the deck being reprinted, plus the expensive commander being reprinted, I think a lot of people who were priced out of Animar are no longer priced out of Animar. And I think if they're going to build that deck, they are going to need this card,
which is...
Shaman of the Forgotten Ways.
Interesting. That's the biorhythm, right?
Yeah, the biorhythm on a stick. See, I'm a big fan of Somberwald Sage because it gives you 3 mana. I think you definitely play both those cards. But Somberwald Sage is like, $250. I kind of like Shaman of Forgotten Ways at like $450. It's probably even cheaper at TCG players, probably like $350.
Well, it's Mythic too, right? So way more upside.
Yeah. It's so you look at the non-mythic Somberwald Sage at $250, and it's like only a couple bucks more for Shaman of Forgotten Ways, which is a win condition.
I mean, remember Biorhythm was banned at one point in
people were saying
EDH,
Shaman should be banned in EDH when it was first spoiled, and Sheldon's like, no, calm down.
Also, every time you search for this card, I always search for Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. It is Shaman of Forgotten Ways. There is no the.
There's no the. Okay, cool. You happy? You embarrassed me on my own podcast. Are you happy?
No, I was talking about... You said it right. I was just saying every time I search
If you go back and review the tape, I did not say it correctly.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that outcome then. Yep. I'm okay with that outcome.
Yeah. So, think you're better than me? You would take a shot at the champ? Is that what you want? You think if you unseat me, you get to be a permanent member of this podcast? Is that what you think?
I'm going to be a permanent member of this podcast any day now as Corbin, just never comes back.
I'm okay with that outcome. I think everyone will agree that this configuration of the podcast is ideal.
So, yeah, talk to you guys about that afterwards.
Ryan wants to come back. Yeah, I think this is
not permanently, but I may be interested in being on more.
Yeah, well, I'm sure our listeners are fine with that.
Basically
this goes in a lot of Animar decks. It goes in a lot of Yeast and the Wanderer Bard and Rurik Thar and Stark Dragonclaw and Maelstrom Wanderer. It's a win condition, but it's also like mana ramp. It's a rock. It's a rock dude. I don't think it's all that reprintable. Given all
it's a
of
rock
those
dude.
factors,
Isn't there some sort of weird 80s reference you're about to make now?
The
It's a rock
that
dude.
movie
I'm
came
sure
out
that's
like
some
99.
sort of reference.
What year was The Rock? That was like 97, 98, 99? Was that
like
before or
yeah.
after Con Air? I feel like that was between Face Off and Con Air.
I feel like it was before Con Air.
Con Air was like 98, right?
I thought Con Air was like 2000.
No, it was 98 at the latest.
The Rock came out in 96.
Wow.
Jeez. Con Air was 97. So yeah, it was definitely before Con Air.
Losers talk about how they can't tap for 3 mana. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
Great. Alright. Is it my turn now?
No, I'm gonna just make the Rock reference. Oh, glass or plastic? Oh.
Great.
I got Rock quotes all night. Let's do it.
All right, so my particular card is kind of twofold. One of them is definitely a little riskier, but I think also has a higher upside, and that is Sinew Sliver. And I think with us returning back to Dominaria, I've said before, like, just pick up all slivers, but really I think it's time to start targeting the right ones at this point. And Sinew Sliver is already looking at like a $2.50
That's the
to
white
$3
muscle?
card.
That's a really good
Yeah.
pick.
Well, yeah, because this is
Yeah.
something we talk about because all of the slivers are illegal in Pauper.
Yeah, Slivers is an actual sort of. It's not like a tier 1 deck in Pauper, but it's a deck. And
But
Sinew
it's
Slivers.
I
like
think
a
it's gonna
really
be a deck.
buildable, can sometimes get there because you have muscle, sinew, and the other one, the one from M15.
You
Yeah,
get 12
which is
lords.
predatory.
Yes, you have 12 lords. in-
Predatory. Right. This is really, I mean, as good as it's going to be there. I think this also may have legs in Modern. I mean, we have Aether Vial, we have a lot of things. Like, Humans has shown that kind of deck can definitely survive. It needs a little more utility as far as slivers go. But I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a 3-mana sliver.
Playing slivers over Merfolk and Legacy, and the reason is Crystalline Sliver.
Very good.
And
yeah.
Dormant Sliver, the black-blue one that you can bounce to avoid a Wrath. You don't have that in Modern, so I don't know if you have the utility. Like, having your slivers be untargetable and having your slivers be able to bounce to, like, avoid a Wrath or Terminus. I think that's why I advocate slivers, even though the mana base is kind of wonky. In Modern, you're just sort of just going to eat it a lot. So, I'm not arguing with you per se. I'm just saying that, like, I don't think it's as portable as Merfolk.
Well, and I think this is kind of where we need to see some human-esque traits come to slivers. So, like, what I'd love to see is a sliver that costs like 3 mana, 2/2, and has a Thalia ability for every sliver or something like that. Like, I mean, that may be a little overpowered, but like, we don't know what's going to happen. But I think the one thing that we probably do know is it would be a huge miss on Wizards' part to not have slivers be part of Dominaria.
Yeah, and they've never made a mistake, so I think that.
I mean, they've made plenty of mistakes, but like, this one is prime. Like, every other Dominaria we've had has had slivers there. Like, it's a very prominent race there. It would be very strange for them to miss that one. I mean, typically when they miss, it's more on the competitive side. There's certainly casual misses, but like, this one would be I would lose a lot more faith than I did just from 25th
Doesn't that
Masters
take
if we
up a
don't see
lot of
slivers.
design space? Because if they are say they got
Not necessarily
280
because you can
cards
have
in
them
the
across all 5
set,
colors.
they are committed to 5 rares, 5 uncommons, and like 10 commons. If they're gonna do slivers.
Sure, but it's also, again, iconic. People want it. And like, every time they've done it before, it's been very successful. And you build onto this tribe that you already have that hasn't clearly been pushed over the edge of being too competitive yet. But you might be able to take that transfer from casual to competitive, which, you know what also means? There's a lot of people out there with casual decks that wouldn't be too far away from tuning into a modern deck if this does become viable. Yeah. And I think that's something they would love to see too. So Sinew Sliver is kind of the riskier pick of the two, but however does have the bigger upside because it is playable in Modern. Now the other one I think that is a reasonable pickup is Muscle Sliver. Same effect, it's the old Tempest one. You also have the foil one in the pre-con deck, or not pre-con deck, but the premium deck.
Yeah.
It's super cheap. There's a lot of copies out there. That's the only concern with Muscle Sliver. Sinew Sliver actually seems to be harder to find, also why the price is probably higher.
Yeah, I really like this pick.
But I think Muscle Sliver...
Sinew.
Yeah.
I think both of them. So the plus side of Sinew, right, is like there's a major upside on Modern. Now, Muscle, I think, is just the extremely safe you're going to make money on this card pick. Because you can pick them up for dirt cheap, and it doesn't take much for this to suddenly become like $1, $2 buy list card. I mean, they're already higher than they were on TCG a couple of months ago, and I think that's probably out of people possibly preparing for this. And you know, there's a number of other slivers too, like Homing Sliver and stuff that are certainly great pickups as well. But I think these two, Sinew represents that, like, you know, bigger risk, bigger reward. Muscle Sliver says, hey, I'm definitely not getting reprinted, so I will be going up in price because this is all slivers.
I'm
plus
on,
one, plus
I'm
one,
on board
and we
just
know that they're not.
We were looking at these cards even without, hey, we're going back to Dominaria, we could get more slivers, blah, blah, blah. I was just looking at this like, hey, we have 12 lords in a Pauper deck, and like that deck's putting up results. So I think with the cross-format appeal, Modern's a real possibility. You could get something going with, you know, some casual stuff with Dominaria. And the fact that, like, none of these cards are slouches in Pauper, I think you have enough potential formats that a lot of your bases are covered. And when you got that cross-format appeal, it's really hard to miss on a pick if you got lots of chances for it to go up.
Right. And like I said, muscle, really the only reason that's a lot safer is because it says all slivers get +1/+1. And as we know, they've stated before that they've switched away from that templating. So we're not going to see a muscle sliver reprint.
Yeah.
Or at least it's extremely unlikely, according to everything Wizards has told us about slivers, that we will see that reprint.
If they did, it would be in
that's...
slivers versus goblins.
I mean, Sanu has that same text too. Sanu has all slivers get +1/+1. It's not just yours.
Sinu.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, they made
okay,
that change
that's
in
right. It
2014.
didn't change until the later ones. Okay, so actually Sinew is super safe then, and is the better choice, I think, because of Modern. But I mean, at the same time, again, Muscle you might as well pick up because they're also cheaper. But I really think any of these lords outside of the Predatory, and it could just be that they're going to reprint a Predatory sliver, and then we don't get those extra lords, and that's fine though, because if they print any other good slivers, like this is already a casual deck that's going to see more and more play. And really, I think we're at that point again where it's been enough years where enough players now that play the game were not around last time slivers were around, and they're going to see this tribe again and go, oh my gosh, and go and type slivers into Gatherer, and these are all going to pop up, and they're going to go after all these lords and all these different effects, homing sliver and stuff like that. Yeah, I think you're going to see a rise across the board in most of the good slivers. I mean, obviously some of the planar chaos ones are still trash, some of the super old ones are still trash, but I think there's enough good ones here that you can really piece together a good portfolio of, just drop a couple $100 of trade value or something into just like random slivers off of TCG Player. I don't think you'd be disappointed. And I also think cards like Sliver Hive are also a great choice to get in on. I mean, possibly reprintable, but Sliver Hive is, again, if it's not in the set, that suddenly could be a $15 rare very easily.
It's already gone up from when we called it like $1 on this podcast. That just was such an easy card to see coming.
Right, and I think this is the same thing. Like, we already have such a preview of what they're doing in the next set as far as the playing goes, and they didn't put a sliver anywhere in the art. We don't have any indicators yet, so there's been no immediate buyouts of all these things. And I'm hoping there isn't huge buyouts of these. I'm hoping it's a lot of people getting in on small amounts of them. I mean, it's certainly possible that a couple of them are going to get bought out, but there's also so many opportunities, and there's also the scare of a lot of reprints, because, there's nothing to say that the design space needs to be all brand new cards. There's plenty of slivers that are still perfectly viable and would be fine to reprint. So some people, diversify on this one for sure. Don't just go eggs all in one basket.
Diversify your slivers.
Exactly.
We got some emails?
Nope.
What do you mean, no?
I mean,
you said we did. You just want to end the podcast? Is that it?
No, we just don't have emails.
You said we had emails.
No, I didn't. I said I'd check if we had emails, and then I checked and we didn't.
Oh, man.
Whoa.
What a gem.
We're actually done with the podcast.
Okay, here's what you can do. If you're a patron that's subscribed to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery, you send us an email, we're sort of compelled to read it, don't you think? Like, if you give us money, we sort of have to. But if you're just like a nerd who just listens to this podcast and is like, hey, I want my dumb name right on this podcast, they'll say my stupid, weird, goofy European name on this podcast, DJ will butcher the pronunciation of your name. That's fine. That's a thing we can do.
Oh.
So send us some emails, because, you got questions,
no, it's not
we got
thing.
answers. What's up?
Well, I mean, it's new for me, right?
No.
I haven't been here for 80 episodes.
I don't butcher people's names.
I don't believe you. You butcher enough magic words that I don't believe you.
Scourge.
All right, Burgunging.
Burgunging. It's Team
Burgeoning?
Scourge versus Team Burgunging. Go.
Who said Burgunging?
You did. That's a Bushitism. Oh my god, I don't know. Sander Vanderzee, what episode did Ryan say Burgunging?
Oh my god.
I feel like it's about
burgeoning.
170 or so. Just you remember.
Oh, I messed up or something? Because I don't think I've ever really meant to mispronounce that. I've known it was burgeoning.
You didn't.
Or I thought I did.
You absolutely didn't.
Oh, man, yeah. No.
That's the thing I never forgot.
Absolutely. Let me know what episode that is. I got to go listen to that one again. Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, so, is this a good time to talk about the fact that I've had these cubes behind me in every episode, and no one has ever mentioned how they're in WUBRG order, and that's really upset me, because I thought, the first week someone would be like, oh, he's got WUBRG cubes in the background, and no one's ever said anything. So,
We ruined it now.
Well,
yeah, now it doesn't matter.
I figure I gave people 6 months or whatever I've lived here since October and nobody said anything, so screw them. Hey, see, look, yeah, you could have made a mention of that at any time. So
sorry that people didn't notice your WUBRG cubes.
Yep. Well,
I think you'll be all right.
I'll be fine. I mean, my life's awesome and really easy, but like their lives could have been edified by noticing my little Easter egg I left for them. So shame on you.
Fair enough.
Can we just
All
can we wrap this up? This is
Yeah, that's what I was.
I would
waiting
just
for,
like
and
to
you
say
just
that
keep
I'm
bringing
so
up
glad
other
that
random
Corbin
things.
didn't join us this week. This was a really great episode without him. And go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. Give us a small to large amount of money to support this podcast and keep us able to expand our offerings by doing our Brain Bites and having people do art for the Brain Bites. We're getting new tokens made. You know, if you subscribe at a certain level, you could get our handsome drinking. Look at this drinking glass. Look how good that looks. This could be yours. Playmats, tokens, all kind of stuff. We don't pay ourselves, really. We just sort of take your Patreon money and expand it into more offerings and buying super hot tortilla chips for DJ to eat on camera.
We did finish, or we did lock in. We signed a commission for our next token.
So our next token is it's going to be a thing. So
yeah, we have one
excellent.
commission locked in, and we have another one in the works.
All right, can't wait to hear about these after the cast.
we are doing things. Things are happening. So thanks for being a supporter. Thanks for being a listener. Go to YouTube and support us for free by finger blasting that subscribe icon.
Do it.
This is you.
Thanks, TJ.
This is what you're doing. All right. Brainstorm Brewery.
Fade out.
Woo!
Go back to your shitty lives. All right.